What's going on, everyone? Brian Downard here. And in this video, I'm going to break down a very easy business you can start in 2025 that makes money fast. You can start for $0. And what I'm going to do in this video is break down everything that I learned from making my first $100,000 in a year, all the way up to making around $100,000 a month. Currently, our company does anywhere between $150,000 to $200,000 per month, but hopefully this is a kind of realistic stepping stone for a lot of you, kind of in that position of you're wanting to start this business, but you're not quite sure where to go or how to start it. And I realize there's people out there teaching this stuff, making millions of dollars a month, but when you go to the gym for the first time, you don't just go start lifting the heaviest weights. You need to go on a specific path in order to get there. So just so you know about my background a little bit, if you are new here, I am a partner in a multiple seven-figure consulting agency for marketing agencies, B2B consultants, coaches, anyone selling high-ticket B2B services. And we've served more than 1,000 businesses in that program, made our clients more than $300 million in the process. And so I have a particular insight to this space, and I'm biased to this business model, but it's with good reason. I'm going to break it down for you here in the video. So the 6 steps that we're going to cover in this quick video are the commitment phase, the define, and then design phases, automate, more and better, and then lastly, replace. So just to quickly kind of break this down, the commitment phase is really about committing to a why. The define stage is really about who we're wanting to serve. Designing is how we're going to do it, what the offer actually is. Number 4 is setting up the business early for scale. Number 5 is really just doing more and better of what you're currently doing to grow the business, scale it up. Then lastly, the hardest part, replacing yourself from some of the key roles in that business to make it be able to grow without you. So if you are kind of feeling stuck around 5 to 10K a month with your side hustle, or even if you're someone who's just wanting to get started, it took me almost 3 years to make $100,000 a year in business. I was doing a lot of the things wrong and just taking, frankly, the long, hard way to get there. 2 years later, we actually made that in 1 month and now consistently do that above and beyond. So what I want to do is break down these 6 shifts that took me there. No fluff, just raw truth, information I wish that I had when I was starting my business from day one. So let's talk about it. First is the commitment phase. And this might sound a little silly on the surface, but what I want you to understand is you need to actually commit to a why you want to do this. And it needs to go deeper than just money, or even deeper than freedom, escaping the 9-to-5, providing for your family, because what ultimately happens is it's going to get hard. You're going to go up the mountain, you're going to hit some obstacles, and you're going to be really tempted to stop, do something different, change direction. But the reality is, when you go down the mountain and go do something else, you're just going to arrive at the same spot that you got stuck at this time. So you need to be able to lean in when it gets hard and accept that that is the prerequisite to running a business. It is hard. It's going to be hard. So you need to attach yourself to a deeper why, so your feelings don't always dictate your actions. And when you have a deeper why, you can separate those things and your actions can live and be executed by themselves without you necessarily always feeling like you want to do it. Because guess what? You're not always going to feel like you want to do it. So what I encourage you to do is something called this 7 layers of why, where when you ask yourself, well, why do I want to start a business? Go a few layers deeper than that. Well, because I want more money. Well, why? Because I want to give my kids options. Well, why? And so once you kind of ask yourself that 7 layers of why, when you get to the 5th, 6th, or 7th why, you're usually going to start to have something more specific and tangible that you can really attach your identity to give yourself the push when things get hard. And what I like to do is attach real consequences and rewards to your outcomes. So I'm not saying to punish yourself, but what are the consequences of not doing the thing? And write those down, make them as vivid as possible. So if you're feeling that like you won't live up to your potential, you'll have regrets when you get older, and like, what are the consequences of not doing this? Again, will anchor you in a place of the ability to take action when it gets hard, not just when it's convenient and easy. I also want you to understand that in this commitment phase, everything takes longer than we think it will. I do not want you to go potentially quit your job prematurely if you're making money right now, or if you're doing freelance work or doing gig jobs on the side. These are all a part of the journey. I was delivering pizzas and a tour guide when I was getting my first business up to that first $100,000 year. That gave me some of that confidence to, hey, I've got something that works here. I can quit those jobs and now go all in. But don't burn all the boats just yet. That's good advice once you validate your business. business, but give yourself the financial and time runway enough to validate the direction that you're going before you go all in and you potentially sabotage your journey too soon before you ever gave it a chance to get started. Now, I'm going to give you guys some tough love here because I know a lot of you are in this boat. I was as well. When we're committing to doing this, we have to understand the difference between playing business and doing business. Now, playing business is all the stuff people think that are important. Like, I want to play with my logos and my Instagram page and post a bunch of content. And in reality, at the early stages of your business, it's a lot of the hard work that people want to skip over, which is booking calls, reaching out to potential clients, getting in front of them, following up, having hard conversations with your team, with clients to retain them. And a lot of times, the thing that you are leaning out from and avoiding is most often the thing that will set you free. So you need to focus energy on the things that will put you in the best position to generate revenue, right? Income producing activities. IPAs are the things you need to focus on, not the feel good stuff that doesn't actually move the ball forward. And what commitment also means is focusing on solving the right problem. So again, this is a further step here around what I was just talking about, where so often people waste time trying to focus fixing the supply demand or the supply issue in their business when the real problem is actually the demand. There's not enough demand for your product, but you're trying to play with the offer and make it better and well, how do I get more capacity? How do I have better supply? And you don't have enough people you're even talking to. You're getting on a sales call a month, and that's not enough to get you to a place where you're going to grow your business. So make sure you're focusing on solving the right problem. And you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of the systems that you have. But first, again, you need to make a commitment to the game because the game is hard. It's not always easy. So this is the first stage. Again, might seem like it's not as important as, well, why don't I just go make money, Brian? It is important. If you don't have this reason, you won't do what's necessary and what's hard. All right. Number 2, the define phase. You need to define who you want to play with and the game you're actually playing, because you can run as hard as fast as you want in a certain direction. It doesn't mean you're going to get the outcome if you're running in the wrong way. So you have to define that game. And the game to me is selling to businesses. And the reason why, and this is the business model that I'm going to recommend now that we're getting to in this video, is selling high ticket done for you services to businesses. The reason is they have a lot more money than consumers, and it will take a lot less clients for you to get to your goals. Now, very commonly what people will do is they will sell marketing services. That doesn't have to be the only service, right? There are a lot of other things that save people time, efficiency, operations, tech, finances, wherever your specific skills are. Ideally, you are going to sell those to businesses. And what you want to do is focus on something that I call a bleeding neck solution, where you want to solve a painful, expensive problem for these businesses. That way you can command a premium price. So getting them more clients, more sales, saving money, getting them more time, more efficiency, leveraging AI to replace employees that cost them $70,000 a year but complain all the time. So what are the painful things that the type of business you want to serve is going through, and focus in on that. Now, a lot of people talk about this idea of niching down. I don't believe you have to niche down to be successful, but in order to quickly stack up a feedback loop in a direction, whether that's through paid advertising or direct outreach or organic, it is beneficial to speak to one audience, because if you're speaking to a lot of different people, you're going to get a lot of different feedback. It doesn't mean you have to be that way forever. So there's kind of this in-between stepping ground where in the beginning stages of your business, you want to know what forest you're going to step into. So what industry generally you want to serve, but it doesn't have to be specifically on a path yet. You can be open to those opportunities as they come your way. But as you scale, it's beneficial to do what we call vertical scaling, where you go all in to serve one space. And as you nail that, you can scale horizontally to other spaces that you could benefit from the same process, but it'll just help you because you're having the same sales calls, fulfilling the same way, and your feedback loop comes a lot faster to make an offer that is irresistible and more of a no-brainer. And really, again, you can't be everything to everyone, because when you try and attract everyone, you're speaking about different outcomes, different value, different services, and then it ultimately attracts nobody. So you want to get really laser focused on who you want to serve and what you could actually do to help them. And for me, one of the things that really changed the game was, instead of just trying to be a digital marketer for anyone and everyone, I became an inbound lead gen partner for casual living businesses. Casual living is like patio furniture and grills, patio umbrellas, outdoor furniture. I don't know why they call it casual living, to be honest, but that's the name of the industry. And that helped me now start to attract more people because I spoke their language. I was selling something that was aligned with what they were looking for. And I got the feedback loop of talking to dozens of them, hundreds of them over the course of that agency, and was able to really understand what they wanted and how they wanted it to be fulfilled for them. So after you have defined who you want to serve with this business, and again, the type of business you want to actually have, B2B, high ticket service provider is what I'm going to recommend for this video. And I want you to now start to design the how. This is where it starts to get a little more complex and people can play, do mental gymnastics in the sandbox of offer creation all day long. I'm going to hopefully simplify it for you here. First thing we need to do is talk about your promise, your price, and your process, the 3 Ps, okay? So in terms of your promise, I don't want you to sell tactics or information or features or widgets or deliverables. You're going to sell transformation, meaning you want to be able to package your knowledge in a way that's not just, hey, we do Facebook ads. Hey, we do SEO. Hey, we do we'll audit your or do your taxes, or we'll do fractional CFO services. Any of those things are just the vehicle, not the destination. So instead, how you make it feel new and urgent is 2 things. First and foremost, you speak to a specific outcome they're wanting to achieve, a painful problem you solve, like I spoke about in phase 2. And then how you make it feel new is you just give it a new name. And this idea of creating a new opportunity is something Russell Brunson talks a lot about, where if you want to sell something that already a lot of people are selling, but position it in a way that's new and different, take a page out of Beachbody's book, and all their fitness programs, even though they're all more or less the same, each have a unique name. So people can't come to a place where like, well, I already have done this before, it won't work for me. And they have this bias against what you do that's already commoditized, but you create strong positioning by simply giving it a name, your product a name, your system a name, not just the business, because this positions what you do as something that's new, and novelty sells, especially because someone doesn't believe they've already tried that before, and it presents it in a new light. Cool. Number 2, you need to price your service. Keep it really easy for you. Basically take your cost of goods sold, multiply that by 2.5. That'll get you to the floor of what you need to charge to be profitable as a business. And then the ceiling of what you could charge is 10 to 20% of the value you bring to a client. So let's play this out. If you're making a roofing client, $20,000 a month in new jobs, cool. 10 to 20% of that is $2,000 to $4,000 a month that they would gladly pay to 5x, 10x their investment in what you do. And then that's your ceiling. At the floor, let's say it costs you $500 a month to fulfill that service. Great. So the floor is going to be $1,250. That's 500 times 2.5. And now you can play between these 2 numbers of, what you need to sell it at to be profitable, but what it's worth to your clients allows you to increase that ceiling and anchor your price against the value you bring to a business, not just the deliverables that you do. Because if you're just selling based on deliverables, you're going to price yourself to the bottom of the barrel. There's a lot of people who will do it cheaper than you. I can promise you that. So don't sell based on the commodity or the feature or deliverable. Sell based on the outcome and the novelty of what you do. I also want you to be able to design an offer with retention in mind. So what we recommend is something called the SPA agency. And essentially it's 2 parts. One part is a high ticket done for you service. Second part is more of a utility bill SaaS is what we call it. There is a third bonus here where you essentially act as a strategic fractional chief marketing officer. We're not doing all the things for them, but you help advise them on the other areas of their business that need to be fixed to make their marketing and sales work better. And high ticket done for you service could be, again, any of the things I've already listed here, but the utility bill is that thing where you can retain people long-term at a lower ticket rate if they churn out of the high ticket item. So something around $200, $300, $500, up to $1,000 a month that people will just want to keep paying for, like home security, cell phone bill, internet. Those are all good examples of things that just work without you having to think about it, and you just keep paying for it. So in the same token, if you can have like a reputation management system or AI chatbot for customer service or appointment setting, or missed call text back features that your clients can use without even thinking about it, that allows you to design an offer with retention in mind that retains revenue long term and allows you to stack that revenue instead of just having a churn factory. All right, process. From day one, you want to design this from scale. So for scale, so what I'm going to recommend is leveraging white label partners at the start. Eventually, you can hire in-house. But there are a lot of agencies out there that have commoditized these marketing services and can get great results, which will allow you to sign clients and without hiring more people, scale the business because your fulfillment scales and you can focus on acquisition and bringing more clients through the door. Obviously, defining pre-made assets and SOPs, so standard operating procedures, documenting what you do as you do it will allow you to scale with ease, hire more people eventually, and just give you more peace of mind to follow a recipe and an assembly line rather than winging it every single time you get a new client. All right. I'd also recommend you always have and this is more important later, not maybe as important at the beginning stages. And people will often call this a value ladder. But what is the next thing that people can buy? Because here's the reality. Back when COVID was, full speed, a lot of people had a lot of money and they were willing to throw that around because businesses could get no interest loans and people were just throwing money around. But what happened during that time is a lot of people raised their prices to these crazy numbers and a lot of people got burned. And so now there's this trust recession where you need to very likely put something in front of your prospects that is lower ticket, lower risk, lower commitment to get them into the door and then upsell them down the road. Because very often people are just going to be too afraid to make a massive commitment up front anymore because they've been burned, because money is a little bit harder to come by now in 2025. Interest rates are up, things are more expensive. So you have to be able to earn their trust by having something where you can kind of put a carrot in front of them, then upsell them into the higher ticket things later. It doesn't mean you can't make the high ticket offer for the people who it makes sense to first, but having the options to always have that next thing they can buy or retain on is going to help you long term. Cool. Simple scales, complexity cripples. I mean, very often what happens is we try and do multiple things and we don't get any of the outcomes that we want. I want to encourage you to, when you're building out your offer, focus on removing friction and effort that the client has to go through, not adding features that cause them to have confusion. A confused mind doesn't buy, a confused mind doesn't retain. The simpler, the more hands-off, the less friction and effort for them, the better. Cool. Last thing is you want to make sure you're actually setting expectations early and often because you can have incredible results, but if the expectation isn't in alignment with that outcome, it doesn't matter. So the best thing to do, shout out to Hermosi for this concept, is set and meet expectations as early and as often as possible. So that way they're always feeling this dopamine hit of, oh, I hit this milestone. They said this, I got that. They said this, I got that. And what I want you to try and do is over deliver instead of overcompensate. What a lot of us tend to do in this space is we get nervous about retaining a client. So we sell a bunch of things, we do a bunch of offers, and ultimately it doesn't move them any closer to their goal. It just adds stuff and it creates complexity, costs you more time and money, doesn't get them the result, and they churn anyways. So instead, make simple promises that are in alignment with what they are looking for, and then meet those expectations and continue to do that if you want to retain clients. Because if you don't design your delivery around expectations, like I said, great results aren't going to save you. All right, cool. So quick commercial break before we jump down to phases 4, 5, and 6. If you're enjoying this, do me a huge favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It helps us reach more people. And if you are interested, we're going to be doing a 4-day virtual event at the end of this month. I will drop that Zoom registration link in the first link below in the description here. Go check that out if you want to see and learn about how you can do this in more depth and get some more hand-holding. Totally free. Go sign up there, and looking forward to hanging out with you guys at the end of the month. All right, cool. Let's keep rocking back to your regularly scheduled programming. All right, phase 4 is automate, right? I already spoke a little bit about this, but let's go one step further. First thing I want to start by doing is automating fulfillment through white label partners. So I mentioned this already. Go find trusted white label service providers. I have a couple recommendations I'll give you. If you're doing SEO, I like Boostability. If you're doing paid ads, I like Invisible PPC. If you're doing more like high level setup and things around in that nature. VA Hub Pro is great, and then Extendly for customer support if you're selling more like do-it-yourself SaaS offers. So there's a couple options for you, but start here, because if you are focusing 90% of your time on client fulfillment, you're never going to be able to grow your business, and you're unfortunately a glorified freelancer because you are the system. You don't have a system that you can actually scale through. Next piece is automating lead generation, not sales and appointment setting yet. We'll get there, but you want to have a process by which you can automate outflow to create inflow. And very likely at the early stages of your business, when you don't have a budget for paid ads yet, is you're going to be leveraging very simple AI automation tools like Apollo.ai to do cold email, or Clay does social media outreach, or even just hiring a person. Sometimes hiring a person to do the work better than you or just for you is the best automation that you can have. So one of the things I'm going to recommend is social media DMs and cold email, plus warm calling to start, which warm calling would be calling the people who are responding positively to your outbound messages. Really shortens the sales cycle, gets people on the phone. And then we can talk about layering on some AI appointment setters later. Don't want to maybe do that right out of the box. Get used to knowing how to fish for yourself. You got fish in your pond now. You got opportunities, people who are interested. Know and own how to get sales calls set, how to take your sales calls. That way you can confidently show other people how to fish for you down the road. And again, when cash flow is healthy, you can reinvest back into paid ads to grow even quicker. It's kind of this idea of when you have more time than money, do the things that aren't as scalable. And when you have more money than time, you buy your time back with that money by doing the things that are scalable. Cool. So I still recommend, again, owning sales and client success. And when I say client success, not doing the work, but the client experience and the client communication. Are they happy when you're checking with clients? Are they getting the result? Are their expectations being met? Own these things, and then you can start to build systems around those long term. Lastly, if you do not have a process by which for when you sign a client that they're onboarded smoothly and they get fulfilled smoothly and expectations are set smoothly, so you have an automated process to do that, it creates massive friction because every time you sign a client, you have to drop everything you're doing to onboard them. So if you try and automate acquisition too soon without a back-end way to fulfill, it just creates a lot of chaos and creates a lot of stress and anxiety. So always start with the automation around fulfillment. And again, it might only take you a few days to find those fulfillment partners, vet them, sign up. Cool. You don't pay them anything until you start making client or getting clients and making sales calls happen. Then you can go automate acquisition. Cool. Let's keep rocking. More and better. Very often people want to go do new. New is exciting, right? But what I would encourage you to do before you start doing anything new, find something that works and do more of that and better of that. So once you kind of find that channel for you, whether it's cold email, cold outreach, whatever it is that was working for you, posting, YouTube video shorts, which can work for some people. I probably wouldn't recommend starting with only content. If you got affiliates that's working well for you, fine. Double down, triple down, go do more of that before you layer on something new. Too often we're going to chase new offers or new acquisition channels, but you should focus on getting more from the thing that's already working because it just creates a distraction, and the likelihood that you get the result from the new thing is a lot lower than just putting more energy, effort, and volume or ad spend into the thing that is working. So once you kind of can figure out now the value you've been able to create for your clients, it really comes down to being able to improve your offer and to raise your prices, and then allows you to focus on getting better at sales and making those offers to potential prospects. And this is, again, kind of overlapping in a couple different phases here, but building actual real relationships in a world where everyone is so inundated with AI and not talking to people, very soon in the next couple of years, very likely, as AI starts to flood every facet of the world, people are going to long for that human connection, the deep relationship. And if you are just a faceless, maskless company that doesn't really care, likelihood that they churn out just to go to a cheaper commodity version of what you do is very, very high. So Deep relationships with your clients and your team scale better than anything else. And people who like you, know you, and trust you are going to be far more likely to continue doing business with you and working for your company. So keep it simple, right? Just checking in with Zoom calls, DMs, voice note, face-to-face will close deals easier, keep clients longer, and retain team members longer as well. Scaling isn't about doing more things. It's about doing the right things better. And again, automations are great, but relationships scale trust, which equal team and client retention. So let's bring this bad boy home. Lastly is replacing yourself as you start to scale. So just to kind of go backwards and recap a little bit, you can get to your first 100K year probably with just phases 1, 2, and 3 and some hustle. But how you get to those 100K months really starts at automating 4, 5, and now 6, where you need to actually replace yourself from the harder things in the business that you are owning. So this could be, again, client support, not necessarily delivery, but maybe delivery around the client success manager, the communication, the check-ins, and then especially sales. This tends to be one of the harder things to have to hire for and delegate to, because if you can't confidently do it yourself, you're not going to be able to confidently show someone else how to do it for you, right? I saw this funny meme about I was really in shape guy, telling his sales team to go call more, but when the sales leader, that guy is actually calling, he's out of shape. And so you can't be the out of shape person yelling at your team to go be in shape if you can't do that for yourself. So again, I'm a massive believer in learn how to fish for yourself, and you'll never go hungry or be at the whim of these other, churning out agencies, changing channels, team members who quit, none of that stuff. You will always have that skill and no one can take that from you. Now, the beauty as you start to scale is you get to hire people who are smarter than you. This was a big realization for us, and it was fun to be able to hire subject matter experts for our consulting business who are just better than us at certain things that we could pay that premium for their skills to be able to do it better than we ever could, to deliver better for our clients, and create that margin to grow the price of our offer and the support we can have for our clients. And very often, people are afraid to overspend on key roles here, but I really want to encourage you is don't try and build your entire team based off of overseas VA and labor. Sure, some back-end roles, operations, tech, some light virtual assistant or executive assistant tasks, those can be overseas, but your core client-facing roles, I'm talking sales, customer success, those people I would be willing to pay a premium for, and you should be willing to pay a premium for. So again, you can hire people smarter than yourself that allows you to not have to micromanage, step away. And these people actually bring their own systems to the table that you might not even have knew existed, rather than trying to train up someone into a key role that they aren't a good fit for. And again, before starting to hire a bunch of people, it's always good to do a little bit of a self-audit of what can the current team that you have do with better tools, better training, or even better incentives. And very often, again, you can get back to step 5 here, phase 5, more and better with what you currently have rather than new people. And again, it might mean reshuffling the deck, looking at how you're leveraging your team, how you're incentivizing paying them. But oftentimes a little bit of a bonus here or there, or an increased salary for one employee can get a lot more out of them than what you'd have to pay in 3, 4, 5x that to hire someone entirely new. And last thing I'll kind of leave you with here is if you feel that you are the best at everything in your business is screwed. This is not a great place to be. You have to hire people who are better than you at other things, and not to rely on them forever, but to allow you to together, those rising tides will lift all boats. Cool? All right, let's bring this baby home. So recap, you need to commit to your why. You need to define who you're going to serve. You need to design an offer around that. You need to automate the fulfillment and lead gen components of the business early on. Once you find something that works, do more and better before you do anything new. And lastly, you need to start to replace yourself. And this is how you go from 100K a year to 100K a month. And very often, I'm going to be real with you, it's not you. It's not a you issue. You just need a better system. And what I'd really like you to do, if you're open to this, comment below which phase you are in now. What I'm going to do, for those of you who've watched this whole video and you actually do leave this comment, I'm going to select 2 of you from those comments to do a free one-on-one 30-minute session with me where I'll break down an entire roadmap of your business, give you ideas on how to implement this, and you can get started even faster. And again, if you want to check out this live virtual event we're doing here at the end of June, the link in the description below, that first one, you can go click sign up on Zoom. That will take you through how we get sales calls on autopilot, give you all those systems around lead gen, setting, and sales and offer creation to set yourself up for a lot of success and hopefully go even faster to your first 100K year and then your 100K month by leveraging some of the lessons I've picked up along the way. Lastly, do me a huge favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if this is something you've been enjoying, if you want more content. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.